The city was alive with its usual rhythm, the streets illuminated by neon lights reflecting off wet pavement. People hurried past, lost in their own worlds, barely noticing the old homeless man sitting on the sidewalk outside an upscale restaurant. His clothes were worn, his face lined with the marks of time and hardship. He pulled his tattered coat tighter around himself, bracing against the cold. The restaurant door swung open, and a wealthy man stepped out, patting his full stomach. He barely spared a glance at the homeless man before wrinkling his nose in disgust. "You don't belong here. This is a high-end establishment. Move along." The homeless man's tired eyes met the others. "I'm not bothering anyone. Just needed a place to rest." "Not my problem." The wealthy man snapped his fingers. "Manager, get rid of him." A waiter, hesitant but obedient, approached. "Sir, please, I don't want to make trouble, but they want you to leave." Before the homeless man could respond, a voice interrupted. "That's no way to treat someone." The onlookers turned in shock. Keanu Reeves stepped forward, his hands in his pockets, his expression unreadable. The wealthy man's smug look disappeared. "Keanu Reeves," he stammered. Ignoring him, Keanu knelt beside the homeless man. "Sir, are you okay? Do you need anything? A meal, maybe?" The old man hesitated. I don't want to be a bother." Keanu smiled. "You're not a bother. Everyone deserves kindness." He helped the man to his feet and guided him to a small diner nearby. Over a warm meal, the man slowly opened up. His name was James Donovan. Once, he had been a professor of astrophysics, teaching at a prestigious university. But life had taken a cool turn. After his wife died in a tragic accident, grief consumed him. He lost his job, his home, and eventually himself. Keanu listened intently, then pulled out his phone. "James, I think it's time you get back on your feet. And I know just a place to start." Within days, Keanu had arranged for James to have a place to stay and a meeting with an old friend, the dean of a university. When James stepped onto campus, emotions surged through him. "Mr. Donovan," the dean greeted warmly. "We've been looking for someone with your expertise. Are you ready to come home?" Tears welled in James' eyes. I think I am." A few weeks later, James received a letter. "Dear James, everyone falls. What matters is getting back up. The world needs your brilliance. Never forget that. Your friend, Keanu Reeves." James held the letter close, a newfound sense of hope surging through him. He knew this was not just about a second chance. It was about rediscovering himself. As he stepped into his lecture hall, he realized that all it had taken was one act of kindness to change everything. James adjusted his tie, staring at his reflection in the small mirror of his new faculty office. He could hardly believe he was here, standing inside a university again, ready to teach. His hands trembled slightly, not from age but from the sheer weight of the moment. The past years of homelessness had stripped him of his confidence, but Keanu's belief in him had rekindled a spark he thought was long gone. Stepping into the lecture hall, he faced rows of students, their eager faces looking up at him. For a moment, he faltered, then took a deep breath. "Good morning, class. My name is Professor James Donovan, and today we embark on a journey through the cosmos." The students listened intently as he spoke, unaware that just weeks ago, their professor had been sleeping on the streets. But James knew, and he would never forget. Meanwhile, news of Keanu's act of kindness had begun to spread. The once arrogant restaurant owner faced public backlash for his treatment of James. People who had ignored the homeless man for years suddenly wanted to help. Donations poured into local shelters, inspired by Keanu's gesture. It was more than just one man's redemption. It was a movement. One evening, James sat at his desk, flipping through old photographs of his wife. A tear slipped down his cheek, but for the first time in years, it was not from sorrow, it was from gratitude. He had been given a second chance, not just to live, but to make a difference once more. As he turned off the light in his office, James made a silent vow to help others as Keanu had helped him, because sometimes all it took was one act of kindness to change a life forever. Months passed, and James fully embraced his new life. He reconnected with old colleagues, began publishing research again, and even started a program at the university to support struggling students and the homeless. Inspired by Keanu's generosity, he made it his mission to ensure no one was ever forgotten by society the way he had been. James expanded his reach by hosting seminars on second chances, inviting people from all walks of life, ex-convicts, recovering addicts, former homeless individuals, who had managed to turn their lives around. His university initiative evolved into a full-fledged organization called the Phoenix Project, named after the mythical bird that rises from the ashes. One day, as he walked through campus, he spotted a young man sitting alone on a bench, his face buried in his hands. James approached and sat beside him. "Rough day?" The young man looked up, startled. "Yeah, I just don't think I belong here. I'm barely scraping by, working 2 jobs, and I don't think I'm smart enough for this place." James smiled. "I know how you feel, but trust me, you belong here more than you know." Over the following weeks, James mentored the student, helping him find resources, guiding him academically, and ensuring he had the support needed to succeed. He saw himself in the young man, someone on the verge of giving up but in need of just one person to believe in them. As graduation neared, James received a call. "James, it's Keanu. I hear you've been making quite an impact." James chuckled. "Just following your example, one act of kindness at a time. That's how we change the world, my friend." At the graduation ceremony, James watched proudly as a young student he had mentored walked across the stage to receive his diploma. The moment mirrored his own journey, a reminder that a second chance, when given at the right time, could ripple outward and transform countless lives. As James stood, applauding with the rest of the faculty, he felt something he hadn't in years: complete. He had lost everything once, but in helping others rise, he had built something far greater than he ever imagined. And it had all started with one simple act of kindness. James Foundation expanded, offering mentorship and scholarships to students in need. Soon, major philanthropists joined the cause, drawn by James' story. His impact stretched beyond the university, affecting communities nationwide. And through it all, Keanu remained a steadfast friend, always reminding him that one person's kindness can change the world. As James continued his work, he never forgot where he had come from. He frequently visited homeless shelters, sharing his story and encouraging those who felt lost. Because he knew better than anyone, the journey back was possible. And it all started with just one act of kindness.